Maya Johnson was not just any agent. She was a proud member of the FBI, a career that she had fought hard to achieve. From a young age, she dreamed of serving her country, inspired by stories of courage and justice. Growing up, she faced many challenges. She worked twice as hard as her peers, studying late into the night and going the extra mile to prove herself. Despite the obstacles that came with being a black woman in a field dominated by men, Maya never lost sight of her goal. She loved her job. Every day, she put on her badge, knowing it represented more than just her position. It symbolized hope and change. Maya was dedicated to fighting crime and bringing justice to those who needed it. Her work involved investigating serious crimes, and she was known for her determination and attention to detail. Colleagues admired her not just for her skills, but also for her ability to connect with people. She understood the importance of trust in her line of work, especially in communities that had been hurt by crime and injustice. One day, as part of an ongoing investigation into organized crime, Maya found herself in a neighborhood that was new to her. It was a predominantly white area, which felt unfamiliar. She was there to gather information about a recent robbery that had rattled the community. The air was tense, with whispers of fear and uncertainty hanging over the streets. Maya parked her car and approached a group of residents to ask for their help. She introduced herself, showing her badge and explaining the purpose of her visit. However, her presence seemed to raise suspicion rather than garner trust. That's when she met a local police officer who would change everything for her. The officer had a reputation for being tough, and he was known for his strict enforcement of the law. He approached Maya with a scowl, his body language aggressive. He didn't bother to listen to her explanation. Instead, he immediately assumed the worst, believing she must be there for some illicit purpose. "Who you think you are?" He barked at her, pointing a finger. "You don't belong here." Maya was taken aback. She had expected to face challenges during her investigation, but not this kind of hostility from someone who was supposed to protect the community. She felt a rush of anger and frustration, but she remained calm. She tried to explain that she was an FBI agent and was investigating a robbery, but the officer was having none of it. "You think you can just walk in here and play detective?" he sneered, ignoring her badge and the credentials she presented. Maya could feel the heat rising in her cheeks. She was not just an agent, she was a person. She had dedicated her life to serving and protecting, yet here she was, being treated like a criminal. The officer's words cut deep, and the humiliation felt overwhelming. Despite her protests, he made the decision to arrest her. He didn't care about her badge or her years of hard work. All he saw was the color of her skin. As she was handcuffed and led to his patrol car, Maya felt a wave of disbelief wash over her. How could this happen? In front of a crowd of bystanders, she felt stripped of her dignity. The whispers and glances of the onlookers only made it worse. Some looked on in shock, while others seemed to nod in agreement with the officer, reinforcing the ugly truth of racial bias. Once inside the police station, the situation only became more frustrating. Maya sat in a cold, metal chair, her heart pounding. She could hear the officers outside laughing and chatting, seemingly unaware of the gravity of what they had done. How could they not see that they were ruining lives with their prejudices? Maya's mind raced as she tried to figure out how to make sense of this nightmare. She thought about her family, her friends, and the people in her community who looked up to her. She remembered her training, the countless hours spent learning how to investigate crimes, and the values instilled in her about justice and fairness. This moment felt like a cruel joke. Just then, her partner from the FBI, a seasoned agent who had always supported her, arrived at the station. He stormed in, his face a mix of confusion and anger. "What is going on here?" he demanded. He could not believe what he was seeing. He knew Maya's character and her dedication to the job. As the officer explained the situation, Maya watched her partner's expression shift from disbelief to fury. He demanded answers and started gathering information, determined to clear her name. Maya felt a flicker of hope. Maybe she wouldn't have to fight this battle alone. As Maya sat in a police station, still feeling the sting of humiliation, she clung to the hope that her partner would help her. Her mind was racing with thoughts of how this could happen, but she knew she had to stay focused. She watched as he spoke with the desk sergeant, trying to gather information and find a way to get her released. The tension in the air was thick, and every moment felt like an eternity. Maya could hear snippets of their conversation. The officer who arrested her seemed arrogant and dismissive. He was more interested in defending his actions than in listening to the truth. "I saw her there, and she looked suspicious," he insisted, as if that justified his behavior. Maya felt anger bubbling up inside her again. She had spent her life working hard to earn respect in her field, only to be reduced to a stereotype. After what felt like forever, her partner finally made his way back to her. "I'm so sorry this is happening," he said, his expression serious but kind. "I'm going to do everything I can to fix this." His words gave her a small sense of comfort, but the reality of her situation loomed over her like a dark cloud. As they left the station, Maya's mind was still racing. She had to figure out how to make this right. How could she possibly move forward after such a humiliating experience? She knew she had to stand up for herself, not just for her own sake, but for everyone who had faced similar injustices. She could not let this incident define her. She had worked too hard for too long to let one man's prejudice ruin everything. Days turned into weeks as Maya and her partner gathered evidence to clear her name. They interviewed witnesses who had seen the incident unfold, trying to piece together the story. Many were sympathetic to Maya's situation, shocked by the way she had been treated. They described how she had approached them with professionalism and how the officer had acted aggressively without cause. Each testimony they collected was another piece of the puzzle that painted a clearer picture of what had happened. Maya also spent time reviewing the footage from nearby security cameras. She watched the moments leading up to her arrest over and over again. It was surreal to see herself, a proud agent, being treated as a criminal. The emotions swirled within her, anger, frustration, and sadness all mixed together. But each time she replayed the video, she felt more determined. This wasn't just about her. It was about the systemic issues that allowed such biases to exist within law enforcement. As the media began to pick up on the story, it created a wave of support. Maya's experience resonated with many people who had faced similar situations. Community leaders, activists, and even other law enforcement officers started to speak out. They shared their own stories, shining a light on the problems of racism and discrimination in policing. It was a powerful moment, and Maya realized she wasn't alone in this fight. Then came a turning point. An influential figure in the community, someone who had long been an advocate for equality and justice, reached out to Maya. They wanted to organize a rally to bring attention to her case and the larger issues it represented. This was an opportunity for Maya to share her story, to inspire others to join the fight against racism in law enforcement. At first, she hesitated. Would people really want to listen to her? But the more she thought about it, the more she realized this was a chance to make a difference. The day of the rally arrived, and the atmosphere was electric. Supporters gathered in the park, holding signs and chanting for justice. Maya stood on stage, feeling the weight of the moment. She took a deep breath and spoke from the heart. She shared her story, detailing her experience with the officer and the humiliation she faced. As she spoke, she saw the faces in the crowd, people nodding in agreement, some even tearing up. She knew her words were resonating. "I refuse to let this moment define me," she declared passionately. "I will not be silenced, and neither should any of you. We must stand together against injustice." The crowd erupted in applause, and Maya felt a surge of strength. This was bigger than her. It was about standing up for what was right. The rally sparked conversations that rippled throughout the community and beyond. News outlets began covering the story in depth. bringing more attention to the need for reform within police departments. Maya felt empowered, knowing that her experience was helping to shine a light on a critical issue. She was no longer just an agent caught in a terrible situation. She was a voice for change. With the rally behind her, Maya felt invigorated. The support she received from the community was overwhelming. People were coming together, sharing their stories, and standing up against the same injustices she had faced. It was more than just a moment, it was a movement. She realized that her experience had become a catalyst for change, and she was determined to see it through to the end. After the rally, Maya and her partner met to discuss their next steps. They needed to keep the momentum going and ensure that the conversation about racism in law enforcement didn't fade away. "We have to reach out to more community organizations," her partner suggested. "They can help amplify our message and support the push for reforms." Maya nodded, feeling a sense of urgency. This was a crucial time, and they needed to act quickly. They began reaching out to various groups that focused on civil rights and police reform. Maya wanted to connect with as many people as possible who could help advocate for change. Many organizations expressed interest in collaborating, eager to lend their voices to the cause. They organized meetings where community members could come together to discuss their experiences and brainstorm ideas for action. Maya was inspired by the stories she heard. Each person had their own struggle, their own painful experience with discrimination. Some shared how they felt targeted by law enforcement, while others spoke about the fear and mistrust that had developed over the years. The common thread was clear: the need for understanding and change within the system. As the weeks went on, they planned a series of workshops and community forums. These events would allow people to share their stories and learn about their rights. Maya wanted to empower individuals with knowledge so they could stand up for themselves and others. She also invited guest speakers, experts in law and social justice, to help educate the community about the legal system and how to navigate it. Maya was excited to see so many people willing to engage in these conversations. Each workshop felt like a step forward, a way to break down barriers and foster understanding. They discussed not only the challenges but also potential solutions. People were eager to talk about how they could hold law enforcement accountable and what changes needed to be made within the police department. Meanwhile, the media continued to cover Maya's story, bringing more attention to the issues at hand. Journalists interviewed her and reported on the community events, highlighting the growing movement for reform. Maya began to receive messages from people across the country, sharing similar experiences and expressing support. It was encouraging to know that her voice was resonating beyond her own community. However, with the increased attention came challenges. Maya started to notice a few individuals who were skeptical of her efforts. Some questioned her motives, wondering if she was just seeking fame or attention. It stung to hear this, especially when she was so deeply committed to the cause. But Maya reminded herself of the bigger picture. This was not about her. It was about creating a better future for everyone. She pushed aside the negativity and focused on the positive change they were creating. As the community events gained traction, the police department began to take notice. Some officers reached out to Maya, wanting to participate in the conversations. This was a pivotal moment. Maya was cautious but open-minded. If they truly wanted to engage and learn, it could be a step toward building trust and understanding. She agreed to include them in some discussions, hoping it would foster dialogue and promote healing. During these meetings, Maya addressed the officers directly. She shared her own experiences and the feelings that had arisen during her arrest. She emphasized the need for empathy and understanding, urging them to see the humanity in every person they interacted with. The officers listened, some visibly uncomfortable. It was a tough conversation, but it was necessary. Change couldn't happen without honest discussions about race and bias. The response was mixed. Some officers were receptive, acknowledging that they needed to do better. Others were defensive, unwilling to accept that there was a problem. But even the difficult conversations were important. They opened the door to discussions about training, accountability, and the need for a culture shift within the department. As the day of the interview approached, Maya felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She knew that this was a chance to share her story with a larger audience, but she also understood the weight of the responsibility that came with it. This was not just about her experience. It was about shedding light on the issues of racial profiling and injustice that affected many others as well. She wanted her words to resonate, to inspire change, and to show people that they had the power to stand up for what was right. On the morning of the interview, Maya prepared herself carefully. She chose a simple yet professional outfit that made her feel confident. As she looked in the mirror, she reminded herself of why she was doing this. This was about more than just one incident. It was about a movement for equality and justice. She wanted to represent everyone who had been unfairly treated, everyone who felt they had no voice. When she arrived at the studio, the atmosphere buzzed with energy. The production team was busy setting up cameras and microphones, and the host greeted her warmly, making her feel at ease. They discussed the format of the interview, and Maya felt reassured by the producer's genuine interest in her story. As they moved to the set, she took a deep breath, ready to share her truth. During the interview, Maya spoke openly about the incident that changed her life. She described the feeling of being handcuffed, of having her identity stripped away in a matter of moments. She recalled the embarrassment of being treated as a criminal, despite being an agent dedicated to serving and protecting her community. Her voice trembled slightly as she spoke, but she held her head high. "I never thought I would be in a situation like that," she said, looking directly into the camera. "I worked so hard to get where I am, and yet, in that moment, I felt like nothing." The host nodded, genuinely engaged, and asked thoughtful questions that encouraged Maya to delve deeper into her emotions and experiences. She talked about the support she had received from her community and how important it was for people to come together to fight against injustice. Each word felt like a step toward healing, not just for herself, but for all those who had faced similar challenges. As the interview progressed, Maya felt a sense of relief. Sharing her story was cathartic. She spoke passionately about the workshops and community meetings they had organized. She described how people were learning to voice their concerns and demand accountability from law enforcement. She wanted everyone to understand that they could be part of the solution. "I believe change starts with conversations," she stated firmly. "When we share our stories, we help others see the truth. It's about breaking down walls and building bridges." Maya also discussed the importance of training for police officers to recognize their biases and understand the communities they serve. She emphasized that empathy was key, and that officers needed to learn to see people as individuals, not just numbers or stereotypes. After the interview, the host thanked her for her courage and honesty. Maya left the studio feeling empowered. She had shared her story, and she hoped it would inspire others to speak out. The next day, news articles and social media posts about her interview flooded in, and the response was overwhelmingly positive. People from all walks of life reached out to express their support and share their own experiences. As the days went by, Maya noticed a significant shift in her community. More and more people began attending the workshops, eager to learn and participate in the discussions. They were asking questions, sharing their own stories, and supporting one another. It was a beautiful thing to witness, the power of a community coming together to effect change. But with the increased visibility also came challenges. Maya found herself facing criticism from some who felt uncomfortable with the conversations about race and policing. They argued that she was stirring up trouble or trying to create division. At first, this hurt her deeply, but she reminded herself of the importance of having difficult discussions. "It's okay to feel uncomfortable," she thought. "Growth happens when we step outside our comfort zones." Maya decided to address the criticisms head-on during the next workshop. She invited those who disagreed to come and share their perspectives. She believed that everyone deserved a voice, even those who held different views. As Maya continued her work in the community, she noticed a change in herself too. The challenges she faced after her arrest had not only ignited her passion for justice, but had also helped her grow as a person. She was becoming more confident in her abilities to lead and inspire others. Each workshop she hosted was not just a chance to educate. It was an opportunity for her to connect with people on a deeper level. One day, after a particularly successful workshop, a young woman approached Maya. She looked nervous, fidgeting with her hands. "I just wanted to thank you," she said quietly. "Hearing your story made me realize that I'm not alone. I've faced discrimination too, and I never knew how to speak up." Maya felt a warmth spread through her heart. "I'm glad you feel that way," she replied gently. "Your voice matters, and sharing your experiences is powerful. We can all help each other." This moment reminded Maya why she was doing this work. It was about more than just her story. It was about empowering others to share theirs. As she listened to the young woman, she encouraged her to get involved, to join the next workshop, and to continue the conversation. Maya understood that each person's journey was unique, and she wanted to create an environment where everyone felt safe and supported. As the community initiatives continued to grow, Maya found herself becoming a well-known figure. People started recognizing her in the neighborhood, and she often received messages of encouragement. Some would approach her in grocery stores or coffee shops, expressing their gratitude for her courage and the changes she was helping to create. It felt rewarding to know that her efforts were making a difference. However, not everything was easy. Maya faced her share of challenges too. There were still some community members who resisted the changes she was advocating for. They believed that bringing up issues of race and discrimination was unnecessary and divisive. During one workshop, a man spoke out angrily. "Why are we talking about this? We should focus on the real issues, like crime and safety." Maya took a deep breath, reminding herself to stay calm. "I understand your concern," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "But the issue of trust between the community and law enforcement is very real. If we don't address it, how can we work together to create a safer environment for everyone?" The room fell silent, and Maya could feel the tension in the air. She knew it was important to approach these conversations with empathy and understanding. Rather than dismissing his feelings, she asked him to share more about his concerns. Gradually, he opened up, explaining his fear of crime and how he believed that discussing racism distracted from real problems. As he spoke, Maya listened intently. This was an opportunity to bridge the gap. She shared her own experiences as an agent, emphasizing that safety for everyone could only be achieved through trust and collaboration. Slowly, the other attendees began to chime in, adding their perspectives. By the end of the discussion, they had transformed a potentially hostile situation into a meaningful dialogue. Maya felt a sense of pride in how the community was coming together, despite their differences. It was not about everyone agreeing on every issue, but rather about finding common ground to move forward. Meanwhile, Maya continued to keep the media informed about their initiatives. She invited reporters to cover the workshops and community events, hoping to reach even more people. The more visibility their efforts gained, the more support they received. Local businesses began sponsoring events, offering their spaces for workshops and discussions. This partnership with the community felt like a victory, a sign that people were recognizing the importance of the work being done. One evening, Maya received an unexpected invitation from a local university. They wanted her to speak at a panel discussion about race, law enforcement, and community relations. At first, she was hesitant. Speaking in front of a crowd of scholars and activists felt intimidating. But after thinking it over, she realized this was another chance to share her story and advocate for change on a larger platform. On the day of the panel, Maya stood backstage, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. When it was her turn to speak, she took a deep breath and stepped into the spotlight. As she looked out at the audience, she saw faces of all ages, some nodding in encouragement. This gave her confidence. She shared her journey, detailing the incident that had sparked her activism and the community's response. She highlighted the importance of education, empathy, and open dialogue. We cannot move forward if we do not confront our past, she said passionately. It is our responsibility to listen, learn, and support one another. As Maya continued to engage with her community, she felt a growing sense of responsibility. With each workshop, each meeting, and each conversation, she understood that her role had transformed. She was not just an FBI agent, but a community leader, a bridge between law enforcement and the people. This new identity pushed her to learn even more about the issues facing her community. One day, while attending a community fair, Maya set up a booth to share information about upcoming workshops. The fair was lively, with music playing and families enjoying the day. As she interacted with people, she saw the excitement in their eyes when they learned about the events she was organizing. "This is great," a woman exclaimed. "I've always wanted to know how to handle situations with the police, but I didn't know where to start." Maya smiled, happy to see interest in her work. She handed out flyers and spoke to everyone about the importance of understanding their rights and building a relationship with law enforcement. The more she talked, the more she felt the community's enthusiasm grow. It was clear that people wanted to be involved and wanted to learn. Amidst the fair's activities, Maya ran into a group of local teens. They were playing a game nearby, but seemed curious about the booth. Maya approached them and introduced herself. "Hi, I'm Maya. I'm working on a project to help our community learn about their rights and how to talk to police." The teens exchanged glances, some appearing skeptical. One of the boys asked, "Why should we care about that? Cops don't listen to us anyway." Maya took a moment before responding. "I understand why you feel that way. Many people feel the same. But what if I told you that learning how to communicate can help change that? If we can understand each other better, we can start building trust." She shared a brief story about her own experiences and the importance of having open dialogues. As she spoke, she noticed their expressions slowly changing. They seemed intrigued. One girl in the group said, "I've had bad experiences with the police, but maybe you're right. If we learn how to talk to them, it could help." Maya felt encouraged. "Exactly. That's why I'm organizing workshops where we can practice these conversations together. You all are welcome to join us." The teens nodded, and Maya could see that they were beginning to see the value in her message. That interaction motivated her even more. She realized that reaching out to younger generations was crucial. If they could learn these skills early, they might help foster change for the future. She began to think about how to make the workshops more appealing to youth, perhaps incorporating activities that resonated with them, like role-playing scenarios or using technology to engage them. The following week, Maya decided to host a special workshop just for young people. She collaborated with local schools and youth organizations to spread the word. They created a fun flyer with bright colors and inviting language, promising a day filled with games, learning, and discussions. The excitement was palpable as the day approached. On the day of the workshop, the community center buzzed with energy. Maya set up the room with colorful decorations and interactive stations. As the teens arrived, she greeted them with enthusiasm. "Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we're going to learn some cool skills and have fun while doing it." The first activity was a role-playing game where they practiced different scenarios, like a traffic stop or a police encounter. Maya encouraged everyone to participate, reminding them that this was a safe space to express their feelings and experiences. She watched as the teens engaged with one another, laughing and learning. It warmed her heart to see them so involved. After the role-playing, they held a discussion about their feelings regarding police encounters. Maya facilitated the conversation, ensuring that everyone had a chance to speak. "What are some things that make you feel anxious during a police encounter?" she asked. The responses flowed, and she listened intently as they shared their thoughts. "I always feel like I'm in trouble, even when I haven't done anything wrong," one girl admitted. "I just get scared." Another young man added, "Sometimes I feel like they don't see me as a person. I'm just another kid to them." Maya nodded, acknowledging their feelings. It's completely valid to feel that way. That's why it's important for us to talk about these things. When we can communicate better, we can help change how these situations go. As the day progressed, Maya felt a sense of accomplishment. The teens were opening up, sharing their fears and hopes, and beginning to understand the power of their voices. By the end of the workshop, Maya saw smiles on their faces, a sign that they were leaving with new insights and tools. As the weeks turned into months, Maya felt a deep sense of purpose. She was dedicated to her mission of fostering understanding between law enforcement and the community. Each workshop and community event brought new faces, new stories, and new hope. With every interaction, she could feel the momentum building, creating a wave of change that she never anticipated. One afternoon, as she was preparing for another workshop, Maya received a call from a local radio station. They had heard about her efforts in the community and wanted her to come on their show to discuss her work. At first, she was a little hesitant. Speaking on live radio made her anxious, but she recognized the opportunity to reach even more people. This could help amplify the message of unity and understanding. After confirming the details, Maya spent the next few days preparing. She wrote down key points she wanted to share, including the importance of communication, the impact of her workshops, and the stories she had gathered from participants. She also wanted to highlight the community's role in these changes. It wasn't just her journey, it was a collective effort. On the day of the broadcast, Maya arrived at the radio station, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. The host welcomed her with a warm smile, and they quickly began discussing the topics that mattered most. Maya spoke passionately about her experiences and the changes she was seeing in the community. She emphasized that every voice mattered and that everyone had a role to play in creating a safer environment. "The more we talk and share our stories, the more we understand each other," she explained. "This isn't just about police and community members. It's about building relationships and trust." As the conversation flowed, listeners called in to share their thoughts and experiences. Maya was touched by the stories of struggle and hope that came through the airwaves. She realized that her work was resonating with many people. After the show, she felt energized and motivated to continue her mission. In the following weeks, Maya noticed an increase in participation in her workshops. Families began attending together, eager to learn and discuss important issues. One evening, a mother brought her teenage son, who had previously been reluctant to join. Maya could tell he was nervous, but she greeted them both with a smile and invited them to feel at home. "Tonight, we're going to practice how to communicate effectively in tough situations," she said. "It's all about helping each other understand." As the workshop progressed, Maya introduced various activities designed to engage everyone. She created scenarios that reflected real-life situations, encouraging participants to role-play different responses. This allowed them to practice staying calm and asserting their rights. When it was the teenage boy's turn to act out a scenario, he hesitated. Maya encouraged him gently. "It's okay. Just pretend I'm the police officer. We're here to learn together." With a deep breath, he stepped forward and began. As he played out the scenario, the room erupted in laughter when he exaggeratedly acted out a nervous person. The laughter broke the tension, and soon others joined in. This lighthearted moment helped everyone relax and feel more comfortable sharing their own experiences. Afterward, Maya opened the floor for discussion. She asked how they felt during the role play and if they could relate to those feelings in real life. Participants began sharing their thoughts. "I always freeze up when a cop approaches me," one young woman said. "I wish I could stay calm like we practiced." Maya nodded, understanding the anxiety many felt in such situations. "That's exactly why we practice. The more we role play, the more prepared we become. It's about building confidence." The workshop became a safe space for everyone to express their fears, frustrations, and hopes. The discussions deepened, and Maya felt proud of the community's willingness to engage. They were tackling difficult conversations head-on, and the sense of unity was growing stronger. As the workshops continued, Maya also focused on building relationships with local law enforcement. She invited police officers to attend some of her events, hoping to create an atmosphere of understanding. Initially, some officers were hesitant, unsure of how they would be received. But as they began attending, they were surprised by the warmth and openness of the community. At one particular event, an officer spoke about the challenges he faced on the job. "We deal with a lot of tough situations, and it's easy to forget that people are just trying to live their lives," he admitted. His honesty created a connection with the audience. Maya encouraged others to share their thoughts and experiences, and soon the room buzzed with conversations about understanding and empathy. As summer continued, Maya was excited to see the community's response to the barbecue. People were talking about it for weeks, sharing stories of how they enjoyed the food and the new friendships they had made. The atmosphere of unity and collaboration was growing stronger, and Maya felt encouraged by this positive shift. She realized that these moments of connection were just as important as the workshops and discussions. With the success of the barbecue in mind, Maya began to brainstorm other community events. She wanted to keep the momentum going and continue fostering relationships between the police and the community. After discussing ideas with her colleagues and community members, she decided to organize a community day at the local park. The goal was to bring everyone together for a day filled with fun activities, music, and games. Maya started planning the event with enthusiasm. She reached out to local businesses for support, asking if they could sponsor activities or donate food. Many were eager to help, recognizing the importance of the cause. A local bakery offered to provide cupcakes, while a grocery store contributed drinks and snacks. Maya was thrilled to see so many people willing to pitch in. As the day of the event approached, Maya worked hard to ensure everything was in place. She organized games like sack races, tug-of-war, and even a friendly basketball tournament. She also arranged for local musicians to perform, hoping their music would add to the festive atmosphere. With each detail, she could feel the excitement building in the community. On the day of the event, the sun shone brightly, and the park was buzzing with energy. Families began to arrive early, eager to participate in the activities. Maya welcomed everyone with a big smile, happy to see familiar faces mingling with new ones. Children ran around, laughing and playing, while adults caught up with friends and neighbors. As the games began, Maya noticed the police officers joining in on the fun. They participated in the sack races and even played some basketball with the kids. This was a powerful moment, as it showed that law enforcement was willing to engage with the community in a positive way. It helped to break down barriers and made the officers seem more approachable. During a break between activities, Maya gathered everyone around for a brief speech. "Thank you all for being here today," she began, her voice filled with warmth. "This day is about celebrating our community and building connections. Together, we can create a safer and more understanding environment for everyone." The crowd clapped and cheered, showing their support for her message. After her speech, Maya invited a local officer to share a few words. The officer stepped up, and with genuine sincerity, he expressed his appreciation for the community's willingness to come together. "We want to work with you, not just for you. Events like this help us to understand each other better," he said, receiving applause from the audience. As the activities continued, Maya walked around the park, engaging with families and checking on the different stations. She watched the kids paint, their hands covered in bright colors, and families bonding over board games. The laughter and chatter filled the air, creating a warm and inviting atmosphere. Later in the day, Maya took a moment to step back and observe. She saw people enjoying each other's company, having conversations, and sharing food. It was a beautiful sight that made her heart swell with pride. This was exactly what she had envisioned. A day of joy and togetherness that transcended the challenges they had faced. As the sun began to set, Maya gathered everyone once more to thank them for coming. "I am so grateful to see all of you here today," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "Let's continue to support one another and keep the spirit of unity alive in our community. After the event, feedback flooded in from participants. Many expressed how much they appreciated the chance to interact with law enforcement in a relaxed setting. They shared stories of how they felt more comfortable approaching officers now. Maya realized that this day had made a significant impact. As the community continued to thrive, Maya found herself reflecting on the changes that had taken place over the past year. She remembered the uncertainty she felt when she first decided to take action after her troubling encounter with the police. It had been a long journey, filled with both challenges and triumphs. Now, as she looked around at the vibrant community she had helped to cultivate, she felt a profound sense of accomplishment. One sunny afternoon, Maya organized a community meeting to discuss upcoming events and to gather feedback from residents. She wanted to ensure that everyone felt involved and that their voices were heard. As people arrived, she noticed the friendly chatter and laughter filling the room. It was heartwarming to see neighbors connecting and sharing their experiences. Maya began the meeting by thanking everyone for coming. "I am so grateful to see all of you here today. This community has become something truly special, and it's all thanks to your support and participation." The crowd responded with smiles and nods, clearly appreciating her words. To encourage participation, Maya opened the floor for discussion. She wanted to hear from community members about what they liked, what could be improved, and what new ideas they had for future events. One woman spoke up, sharing how much she enjoyed the workshops. "I feel more confident now when I talk to law enforcement. It's made a real difference for me," she said, earning applause from others who echoed her sentiments. Another person suggested they expand their activities to include a community garden. "It could be a great way for people to come together, learn about gardening, and grow fresh food," he proposed. Maya loved the idea and immediately began jotting down notes, eager to explore how they could make it happen. As the meeting continued, the excitement in the room grew. People began sharing even more ideas: family movie nights in the park, cultural festivals, and educational programs for children. Each suggestion was met with enthusiasm, and Maya felt the energy of collaboration buzzing in the air. It was clear that everyone was invested in making their community better. After the meeting, Maya decided to form a small committee dedicated to organizing the new initiatives. She invited interested individuals to join her, and soon a diverse group of people came together, all eager to contribute their skills and ideas. They held brainstorming sessions, discussing everything from event logistics to ways to engage more community members. The planning process was both fun and productive. They created colorful flyers to promote their events, reached out to local businesses for sponsorship, and even started a social media page to keep everyone informed. Maya was impressed by the creativity and enthusiasm of the committee members. Together, they were creating a momentum that she had only dreamed of. One of the first projects they decided to tackle was the community garden. They found a suitable plot of land near the community center and began working on it. With shovels in hand and smiles on their faces, community members came together to prepare the soil. Children eagerly helped out, their laughter ringing out as they played in the dirt. Maya took the lead, guiding everyone on how to plant different vegetables and herbs. "This is a great way for us to learn about healthy eating and working together," she explained. The sense of accomplishment was palpable as they planted the first seeds, and everyone eagerly anticipated the day they could harvest their efforts. As the weeks passed, the garden flourished. Residents tended to it regularly, watering the plants and pulling weeds. Each visit brought a sense of pride, and people began to bond over their shared labor of love. Families brought their children, teaching them about gardening and the importance of caring for the environment. Maya also organized educational workshops at the garden. They invited local experts to share tips on growing food, composting, and sustainability. Each session was met with enthusiasm, as residents learned new skills that they could apply in their own homes. The garden quickly became a hub of activity, filled with laughter and learning. Meanwhile, the community committee continued to plan new events. They decided to host a cultural festival to celebrate the diversity of their neighborhood. Everyone was encouraged to share their heritage through food, music, and art. The planning brought excitement as residents discussed their favorite dishes and performances they could showcase. As the festival day approached, the energy in the community grew. People decorated the park with colorful banners, set up booths, and prepared dishes from their cultural backgrounds. Maya felt a sense of joy watching the preparations unfold. This event would not only celebrate diversity, but also strengthen the bonds between neighbors.